I watch a TV show. Let me see if I can reconstruct this to explain why there's this is something I could never do. That, by the way, I think successful politicians have to be able to do it. I could never do it. I watch TV show on Sunday nights. I think it's on TNT or TBS or what is it? The Last Ship. Eric Dane stars as the captain of a Navy ship. The world has this virus that's wiped out practically everybody. The ship has a brainy doctor, obviously a looker that's found the cure. And they're running around and the country's gone. There is no president anymore. It's just everything's devastated. Our buddy Adam Baldwin is the XO, the executive officer, on this show. Now, I've got to really be brief here. In 2 episodes ago, there's a group called the immunes. These are people that are naturally immune to the virus. They never got it, and they are headed up by a renegade Brit who's a criminal who's trying to take over the world and get rid, trying to wipe out, trying to kill all the people susceptible to the virus. So the only people left are the immunes. So they don't even need a cure. I'm really shortening this up. So if you know what I'm talking about, and if I leave things out, don't get mad. It's not the point. The immunes, in their effort to persuade everybody that they're genuine and that they're good people, they're a bunch of phonies, folks. The immunes and the leaders are a bunch of criminals. They're a bunch of thugs. But they're trying to convince the survivors that they have their best interests at heart. They're trying to convince their survivors that they only want the best for everybody, and they're trying to save everybody, and they're trying to put everything back together, and they're trying to recreate the great civilization that used to exist before the virus, when instead they're a bunch of power-hungry communist Marxist thug pigs. And one of the people that they have discovered who is an immune used to be the leader of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. They capture this guy, they make him president, and they convince him that they are up to good. He's the only remaining member of the U.S. cabinet. They convince him that they are altruistic. They convince him that they just want everybody to have the best. I mean, if I had to say, these people are the Clintons and the Democrat Party of 1993, 94, except they don't look the part. I mean, they look like the thugs and the reprobates that they are. But they've got a way of talking. They master the way of talking. They find all these gullible people, and low information people just suck this stuff up, and everybody's invested in the immunes and this thug leader, including the ex-HUD director. Well, back to the naval captain. The naval captain knows this is all BS. They make a move. They capture the president. They have evidence to show this president. The immunes have made the guy president. The former head, they've made him president because they know the American people will only lead or follow an American, not a bunch of Brits. So they've convinced this surviving administration member. No party affiliation is mentioned, and not Republican or Democrat. They don't go there. He's just the only surviving cabinet member. Such, next in line. The White House is gone. It doesn't exist. Well, it's there, but it's in ruins. And he's it. And the immunes convince this guy that they're up to nothing but good, and that he can lead them in saving humanity. And so this guy falls for it, hook, line, and sinker, and gets all caught up in the fact that he's now the president, not just of the U.S., but of the world. Well, our naval captain and his XO and everybody on him realize the scam being perpetrated here. And they lead a mission. They capture this guy, get him away from the immunes. They bring him back to the ship, and they try to tell him the truth. They've got evidence. They've got video. They've got documents. Everything to prove that these immunes are thugs, and he doesn't believe it. And so the captain is at his wit's end. He doesn't know what to do. The guy is the president. He wants him to be the president. He wants to convince him that the immunes have told everybody that if you see a Navy ship coming, ignore them. They are spreading the virus. Just like the Republicans want to starve your kids with school lunch cuts, the Navy and this ship, they have the virus and they're spreading. When in fact, the immunes are the ones doing it. The immunes are trying to kill everybody that's not immune. They're accusing a Navy of it, and this president guy has bought it hook, line, and sinker. Eric Dane and the boys, Adam Baldwin, they have the proof to show this new president that he's sidled up with a bunch of thug criminals. And the facts do not move him. The facts do not persuade him. He resists because he's got an emotional tie to it. It turns out that there's a backstory involving the death of his son that he thinks that he is seeking redemption for by following the immunes. So anyway, the third in command on the ship, a black guy, brings the Navy captain to the ship and says, "Sir, you're going to attack his narrative in a different way. The facts are not going to matter. He has his own story, and in his heart, his story is true. You are going to have to give him a different narrative. In other words, sir, you're going to have to figure out a way to pander to this guy to get him to understand you're on his side before you tell him how he has been played for a fool." And the whole episode is devoted to how that's done. And as I was watching it, I said, I could never do that. Somebody rejects the facts, I'm ticked off, I'm out of there. Screw it, idiots, I haven't time for them. So I couldn't pander. Don't you think, Rush, that you're making a mistake by being so anti-bicycle, and that's what the millennials really... No, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Come here and say, gosh, I really love this idea in L.A. Have you seen this, folks? The L.A. City Council, man, I wish we lived among brilliance like that in Florida. You know what they're going to do? They're going to actually get rid of automobile lanes. They're going to reduce them. Man, that's so cool. We got to get rid of these cars. They're belching nothing but pollution, destroying the planet. And we're going to expand the bicycle lanes. Man, do I love that. Oh, folks, is that some of the smartest stuff? I can't do that. Or a variation of it. I can't do it. I can't even imagine how I would do it. How would I tell somebody I believe something I don't believe it just to persuade them? But that's the people who can do that. They're better than I, because the art of persuasion is multifaceted. But I just when I'm staring insanity in the face, I don't have any patience with it. If it's clinical insanity, I do. If it's organic insanity born of ignorance, I don't have much patience with it. So trying to create a narrative that would convey to the millennials that what they're doing in L.A. is ridiculous and maybe even dangerous, while saying I support the whole thing, I just don't know how to do it. I would have to really study it, figure out a plan, and then put the plan up and execute it and try to remember it. To me, it would all be phony. But see, this is what Bill Clinton does, I'm convinced, naturally. No sincerity, whatever he says he believes, whether he does or not. People, J.R. Ewing, so once you get past integrity, you own them. Or whatever the phrase was. Once you figure out that integrity doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want to do. Or whatever the phrase was that J.R. Ewing uttered. But this third in command says, sir, you're going to have to give him a different narrative. And by the way, what this third in command said was brilliant. And the captain bought it, and the captain employed the third in command strategery. And it worked. They got the guy away from the immunes. Supposedly, it's a TV show. He could still be sandbagging it. But as far as the viewers are concerned now, the president's on the side of good. He's been wrested away from the immunes. He now knows the immunes are a bunch of thug creeps. It was a brilliantly written episode. It really was. And but it was, it made me mad. I can't help it. It made me mad. I have to go through all that insincere phoniness to get to where you wanted to get rather than just straight at it.